Welcome. This is Dr. Drew Leader from Loyola University, Maryland. And I'm talking about some lessons from a new book of mine called The Healing Body, Creative Responses to Aging, Illness, and Affliction. And in a large part of the book, I focus on what I call the chessboard of healing strategies. 20 different maneuvers people make when they find themselves dealing with a dysfunctional body, whether it's due to injury or illness, a new disability, or simply the effects of chronic aging, which we all will face sooner or later, and your body's no longer able to do what it once can do. How do people respond to that in a healing fashion? Not necessarily achieving medical cure, but reintegrating, making whole again their psychological approach to life, their ability to interact with others, and to reclaim a sense of meaning, purpose, and identity, even in the face of bodily breakdown. So today I'm going to focus on a strategy I call imagining. It's kind of what it sounds like. In a previous YouTube, I talked about incorporating. Sometimes people deal with their incapacitated body by bringing in something from the outside, whether it's inserting contact lenses or using a walking stick or a wheelchair. You're supplementing your bodily capacities with something that's outside your body, but it's kind of becoming part of your bodily schema as you learn to use it. But today I'm focusing on bringing something from your interiority that can be healing, the power of imagination. And if we had more time, I'd say do an experiment where you imagine yourself in a really frightening scene, and you'll notice that you're tripping your sympathetic nervous system, release of adrenaline and cortisol, which affects your immunological function, et cetera. Or you could place yourself on a really calming tropical beach, and your heart rate would decrease, your parasympathetic nervous system relaxation responses coming into play. So we can see the power of imagination from within. Athletes are well aware of it because they often pre-imagine their desired athletic accomplishment, shooting a three-point basket or hitting a baseball, and it enables them to achieve that on the field because they've retuned their neurological system in that direction. And actually, it's an under-thematized but very important element in medical research because the best medical research involves double-blind studies specifically to take out of the picture the placebo effect, meaning the fact that the very imagination a patient has that a medication will help them often leads that medication to be experienced as helpful. And they'll attribute that to the medication, even if it's just an inert sugar pill. But really, it's their own power of imagination that is healing their own body. And it's so powerful that researchers have to keep trying to subtract this from the study to make sure it's really something about the medication itself and not the patient's own imagination that's doing the healing. So I want to give an example from a trained neuroanatomist who wrote a wonderful book called A Stroke of Insight, Jill Bolte Taylor, about a devastating stroke that she experienced when she was 37 years old, and all the things that she discovered as a result, as well as her process of recovery. So here's a quote where she says, "Imagery has been an effective tool for regaining physical functions. I'm convinced that focusing on how it feels to perform specific tasks has helped me recover them more quickly. I dreamed of skipping up steps every day since the stroke. I held the memory of what it felt like to race up the steps with abandon. And by replaying the scene over and over in my mind, I kept that circuitry alive until I could get my body and mind coordinated enough to make it reality. Very powerful. Also, just give an example from personal experience that I had and have a serious weird peripheral neuropathy that led me to have two surgeries. I re-injured it, very painful. I thought I'd need to have a third surgery where I'd have to just cut the nerve entirely, numb out a whole portion of my leg. But I started using a qigong technique, really kind of from Chinese medicine, where I'd go walking with my dog in a beautiful natural scene, and I would visualize bringing in all the qi, all the positive energy from my surroundings, the vitality of trees, um, the motion and flow of the stream that I was walking next to, the solidity of earth, the spaciousness of sky. I would all that bring all that into my damaged nerve, and I kind of believed it might help. That belief potentiates whether or not it was the placebo effect, I don't know. But what I do know is that there was a lot of diminishment of pain within a couple of weeks that enabled me to avoid that surgery. Now, I do want to be careful because any healing strategy has its shadow side. If you go to my website and play with the chessboard of healing, I kind of say, here's a chief benefit, but here's a chief problem if you use this excessively or inappropriately. And I think not all things are healed by imagery. You need other techniques, including biomedical intervention. And also, I think if you ascribe to the New Age belief that everything is created by our own thought processes, our own imagination, you may blame yourself if you get cancer or you're unable to heal from a chronic condition and say, I brought this on myself, or it's my fault, I couldn't fix it. And then the suffering of the illness is compounded by the sense of guilt and self-blame when you may have gotten cancer because of a random mutation of cells or because of an environmental agent. And so it would be very kind of wrong to say, oh, this was all created or all fixable by imagination. You still might want to get chemotherapy or surgery or radiation therapy, but that doesn't mean you can't also assist and potentiate it by the power of your imagination, working on healing from within, along with all the interventions you're doing from outside. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in this kind of material, I'm able to discuss it at greater length in that book, The Healing Body, Creative Responses to Aging, Illness, and Affliction, True Leader. Hope to see you again.